Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another MAMG Let's Play. Today I'm playing a game called Mycorrhiza? Mycorrhiza? I have no idea how you say this. Apparently it's a manga style visual novel horror demo, I believe. I think it's a demo. I don't really know a lot about it because I always go by screenshots and I'm just like, this looks interesting. And then I regret my decisions later. Now, also this video may be a little bit shorter because looking at it, it looks like it goes to around 40 to 45 minutes, which I want to break into two parts for a couple of reasons. One of which I'm waiting for some people to join me so that I can play some other games. So this is just kind of like an in-between thing because people are running late. So I don't know how much time I'm gonna have. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Either way, it's fine. You're gonna get videos, I'm gonna get scared. Let's do this. Click on the door to start. Well, I like the left door. Are they different? Is a cat. What? Okay, Act 1, pets. Are they different acts? I don't know, the game folder said demo, so I'm thinking my eyes were burning. It felt like hot coals were lying on my eyelids. I slowly opened them and attempted to heave myself up from the cold asphalt, but I failed. My whole body was heavy and my head felt like it was being squashed by a hydraulic press. Very descriptive. After a few attempts, I finally succeeded and tried to make out where I was. The fog in my mind lifted slowly, and I realized that I was in a dark alleyway. My vision was still blurry, and I had trouble keeping my eyes open, but I could tell that I had never seen this place before. Slowly, my heart began to race. Was I abducted? Mugged? What had happened to me? I hastily checked my body, fortunately finding no wounds. Why was I feeling this weak then? Maybe I was drugged. As I tried to recall what might have happened to me, my eyes finally focused and I could see the house in front of me. In fact, it was the only house on the street with its lights on. The dirty yellow glow shone through every single visible window. I felt some relief knowing that the tenants were awake. Perhaps they could tell me where I was. I wouldn't mind some warmth either. I approached the front door. It took some searching to find the doorbell through the overgrown ivy. A deep gong rang out from within the house when I pressed it. The sound, amplified by the cold wind cutting through my shirt, made me tense up. What an odd choice for a doorbell sound, I thought, while rubbing my upper arms to warm myself. I waited. No one answered. My mind twisted in confusion. Why was no one coming? I rang the doorbell again. Then I tried knocking. No response. Yeah, if it was me and you came to my house, I would not open the door. I would look through the eye hole and be like, yeah, I don't know that person. No one was coming. I didn't understand. Did they forget to turn off the lights and go on vacation or something? As a last resort, I tried turning the doorknob and it actually opened? This worried me. Yeah, it should. It's called breaking and entering. Did something happen to the family living here? Perhaps I should find a phone and call the police. That is your first thought? Was the doors unlocked so maybe everybody's dead? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the street. My heart started to pound as my body tensed up. I wanted to dash into the house, but my feet refused to move. What was that sound? Was someone out there? Pictures of otherworldly monsters and armed kidnappers popped into my mind as my eyes scanned the darkness. The world was silent once more. I was still on edge, but my body slowly started to relax as I regained my composure. I decided I didn't want to find out what that was. Cautiously, I stepped through the threshold and firmly closed the door behind me. I felt an immediate lurch of guilt since I was trespassing into a stranger's home. Yeah, exactly. But I'd rather face a police questioning than wander around a strange neighborhood in the middle of the night. Hello? Is anyone here? No answer. The house was eerily quiet. I also noticed now that everything's in caps. Should I be shouting all of my dialogue? I cautiously ventured further down the front hall. Perhaps I could find a telephone. I stepped in front of one of the doors. A dim, yellow light seeped silently through the bottom crack. I turned the knob. Locked. Then the next one. Also locked. They all seemed to be. I frowned. Why were the lights behind these doors lit? It gave me an uneasy feeling. I'm sure the people inside are terrified too. I'd be like, dude, don't? The door at the very end of the hall was the only one that I hadn't tried yet. I grasped its handle and turned it slowly. It swung open to complete darkness. Once again, my body tensed up while my mind started to conjure horrific images. A beast with dislocated limbs and crooked teeth creeping towards me from the darkness. A floor littered with corpses and walls stained with blood. A giant spider sitting in the corner waiting for its chance to strike. What kind of imagination do you have? Maybe the drugs are still affecting your decision-making skills, but this is not the best thing to do. My hands shook as I reached to flick on the light. There's nothing. It was an utterly ordinary bedroom. My heartbeat slowly calmed down as I realized that I seemed to be safe. I felt almost silly getting scared of nothing. Then I turned around and got punched in the face. A quick search yielded nothing but barren, dusty shelves. The bed was the only meaningful object present. Slowly but surely, a wave of fatigue wafted over me. Do not sleep in this bed. The more I looked at this bed, the more tempting it became. Dude? With my adrenaline rush fading away, I found that I was more exhausted than I had realized. Like a worm worming its way into an apple, a single thought slowly appeared in my mind. You are worming for sure. I had to sleep. That was soon the only thing I could think of as my consciousness faded. I had to sleep. What's the red for? The world turned dark and the soft covers of the bed pulled me deeper and deeper into the black abyss. You're an idiot. Some people have gotten as little as a couple hours of sleep in the last couple of nights. What? Is that a fun fact? Let's hope that this will all be over soon. What? What is happening? I shot awake. It was as if no time had passed. I hardly remembered falling asleep. Feeling a bit better, I decided to take another look around the house. The fact that no one was here, even though the lights were on, was still nagging at the back of my mind. But I was more confident that I'd be able to find help now that it was daytime, or leave. I left the bedroom to retry the doors, just in case. Ha! They were still locked. I would have at least liked to take a shower. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? You just broke into someone's house. You're like, oh man, it'd be nice if I could take a shower around here. What is wrong with you? I smelled my clothes and they had indeed started to smell slightly sour. It would have been nice to have access to the kitchen as well, although it was doubtful there was much food given the house's empty state. This is not your home. This is not even a home you know who lives here. What are you doing? Go out the door and like find a Wendy's or something. I don't know. This video is not sponsored by Wendy's. This place seemed to have nothing left to offer. I'd better be off out in the streets now that it was day, even if I was still missing my wallet. I don't care. I left the house for the bright sunlight. The back street didn't seem so bad anymore. I found it to be rather cozy and quaint. I made my way down the path until I heard the faint sound of conversation in the distance. A weight lifted from my heart when I first glimpsed people walking around in a pedestrian area. There weren't too many of them though, and as I looked around, I got the feeling that it was a rather small town. Trees and flowers were planted at regular intervals, which gave it more of a rural atmosphere. It didn't matter. I could finally ask for help. Excuse me, could you tell me where I am? The woman blinked at my approach. She frowned and scowled in my general direction. This is Kejam? What? Kejam Hittith? Hither? She looked uncomfortable talking to me, so I thanked her and let her be. I can't say that name. I'm Kejamhive. Is that the most American mispronunciation of something ever? I'd never heard of a town like that before. Where? How did I end up here? The thought of being somewhere I didn't recognize scared me. How was I supposed to get back home if I didn't have the slightest idea where to go? I took a deep breath to calm myself down. My next best bet would be asking someone to allow me to make a call from their mobile phone. I approached an older man in a business suit. Excuse me, may I use your phone? I'm a bit lost and would like to call a friend of mine so he can come pick me up. His lips curled into a grimacing frown. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a hurry. I approached person after person, but even after what felt like several hours, I had no luck. No one wanted to lend an unkempt, half-dressed stranger their phone. As I made my way through a side street, I heard two elderly women whispering to each other. I heard some violent incidents recently. Most got away with just a flesh wound, saying that they were attacked by someone or something. She's gonna have the same voice. Yeah, I heard that too. I wonder if it has anything to do with the pet disappearances. I have heard of another cat that hasn't come back in several days. I was so focused on the conversation that I almost ran into a girl. I was like, that is not an old lady. I mumbled an apology until I realized that she had approached me on purpose. Hi. Hi? You need to call someone, right? She extended her hand and offered me her phone. Well, it'd be weird if she didn't have her phone and she just like, here, use my hand. How did you know? People have been talking about you. We've had some violent crimes here recently. Everyone's still a little on edge. Many pets have been getting sick. Some say someone has been poisoning them. Okay, here's my thought. Here's my initial thought. Is if everyone's on edge because there's a lot of violent crimes, there's probably some police officers. So find a police officer or go to a police station, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to let you use their phone. I'm just saying. You could also be like, hey, by the way, I was drugged, maybe broke into a house, slept a little bit. It's cool, right? Thanks, see you later. And then they cuff you and put you in jail. But it's still better than whatever you're doing here. All right. She nervously shuffled her feet and glanced away. Thank you, I won't take long. I took the phone and dialed a friend's number, but the call didn't go through. I tried again, but the result was the same. Maybe his phone was turned off? I tried my parents' house phone, then my job's front desk, then my boss's personal cell. Each time the call failed. I was sure that I had the right numbers. Maybe the phone had a bad connection. It seems like the calls won't connect for some reason. Maybe I have more luck trying a landline. My phone does act up sometimes. You might be right. Still, thanks a lot. I didn't want to hold her up any longer, so I gave her phone back and wandered off with a rushed farewell. Leaving that way may have been a bit rude, but I was too frustrated to care. I just wanted to look for another way to get in contact with someone I knew. Could you not try 911? Because I think in emergency situations it would still go through. It occurred to me that I should have asked her for directions to the police station. There you go! Now you're using the brain that was all drugged up. I turned to look for her, but she had already vanished. Is she a ghost? Did she have a ghost phone? As I made my way through town, I could now definitely feel the tension in the air. That girl was right. Everyone was on edge. While I was passing by an alleyway, something caught my eye. They were too big to be rats. I couldn't really make anything out other than the eerie glowing eyes. Maybe it was a cat gang searching the trash for food. Oh, those cat gangs. They'll get you. Propose food? I was starving. Okay, but I couldn't possibly just ask random people to feed me, and since my wallet was missing, I didn't have any money on me to buy something. Though there were oddly tempting looking plants growing near, but that does not look tempting at all. As I stared at them, I felt a pull. Their strange appearance hypnotized me without me noticing my feet inch closer, and closer, and closer. Are you kidding me? No, dummy. Oh, I can save. Can I save? Yay! Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, hang on. Return? Okay, don't. I broke away from the hypnotic pull of the plants. What was I thinking? It didn't matter how hungry I was, they may be poisonous. But my hunger was beginning to knot my insides. It's been a day, dude. Come on. My vision grew blurry. Who knew how long it's been since I've eaten? I would say a day unless you've been knocked out for longer. I guess that's possible. Suddenly I collapsed and the world around me vanished. Did I? I heard that another team had some problems with a scientist of theirs who ended up being banned from their research center. What? She apparently performed experiments on humans who were bleh. I can almost sympathize with her. Uh-huh. It was dark when I awoke. It seemed like no one had bothered to help me. I tried to get up, but I couldn't. My whole body was paralyzed from hunger. Something was shuffling by my ear. I felt the sniffing of an animal, perhaps one of those cats I saw earlier. I couldn't bring myself to look. I lost interest and walked past me towards the plants. I heard more follow. As I padded into view, I noticed that something was off about them. It must have been my mind playing tricks on me. My hunger was overwhelming. Something about their bodies was wrong. They started to eat the plants. They were smacking rather loudly and made unnatural, fleshy sounds. Every now and then, one would pause and give off a low growl that didn't at all sound like a cat, more like a slightly higher-pitched bear growl. Okay? After a while, the sounds diminished and I felt their presence vanish. I gathered my strength and forced myself to my feet. What had just happened? What were those creatures? The violent crimes I had heard about earlier popped into my mind. My hands began to shake slightly. What would have happened if I hadn't been paralyzed and if they had not noticed that I was still alive? Most house sites were still lit. I mustn't have been out for that long. Once again, my body gave off a deep growl. It was as if my stomach was eating itself. I had to get some food or else I was in danger of collapsing again. Being as desperate as I was, I approached the next best house and knocked. The next best house? What's that even mean? I was surprised when the door actually opened. Hi there. Come on in. How nice of you to visit. Do we know each other? Before me stood a fashionably dressed woman with a big smile on her face. At first glance, she seemed welcoming, but her movements were rather stiff and almost mechanical, as if they had been practiced over and over again. She took another, more thorough look at me, and seemed to realize that we did in fact not know each other. Ah, you must be a new neighbor then. Please, come in. No. She disappeared before I could correct her. I hesitantly followed her inside. On my way in, I saw a food bowl near the entrance with some of the strange-looking plants I had seen earlier in it. Huh. She'd been feeding those to her pet? I peeked after the woman into the living room. A man leapt to his feet as if he saw me, and stretched his big hand out to me. His other arm hung down limply. Apparently he wasn't able to move it. Hi there. It's nice to meet you. How are you doing? I reciprocated his firm handshake and he cheerfully gestured me to take a seat beside him. To my surprise, the girl who had helped me earlier was here as well. She gave me a small wave. It's starting to feel like a festivity. We should have a neighborhood get-togethers like these more often. Oh, right, this is... She turned and frowned in my direction while trying to remember a name she hadn't asked me for. Scott. I'm Scott. Right, Scott. He moved in nearby recently, I think. So I thought we should invite him in as well. As well? Certainly. It is nice to meet you. No, I'm not really... Oh, right, food. Give me a second. The woman rushed into the kitchen and came out with steaming dishes of food. I could make out different kinds of meat, baked potatoes, and more. My stomach gave off a deep growl as my mouth began to water. Any thought of honesty about my origin was gone. What? The other visitors started piling food onto their plates and I followed suit. Oh, okay. He was trying to be honest about where he was. Now you want to be honest, though? You've already broken into a house. As I devoured it and life came back to my body, I let my eyes wander over the others. Everyone seemed to be rather tense, especially the woman and the man. Their movements were rather stiff. Every now and then they threw glances at each other's way, glances that seemed to indicate mistrust. The woman seemed to be especially eyeing the cup that the man was drinking out of. Every now and then, when they'd notice each other's looks, they'd put on a fake smile. The girl seemed like she hadn't planned to be here in the first place, and was she just dragged into it like I was? As I was cleaning my plate of its scraps, something important flashed into my mind. Excuse me, would you mind if I used your phone? The woman tissed. I'm afraid I don't have one. I've never cared for those buggers. She looked over to the man. Maybe he can use yours. Of course. I can show you to my house once we're ready to go. What? I gave off a sigh of relief and thanked the man. He waved his hand in the air. No problem at all. Please, excuse me for one moment, though. He shuffled out of the room, presumably towards the bathroom. All right, I'll make some more tea. She scooped up the man's cup and left me alone with the girl. I cleared my throat and nodded in her direction. Thank you again for lending me your phone. I did appreciate that. You're welcome. I hope you'll have more luck with the landline. Yeah, I hope so too. And I guess that was the end of the conversation. Perhaps she felt uncomfortable speaking to a weird smelling stranger. I'm gonna go wash my dishes. And there she went. The other two were taking quite a while. Oh God. I used the opportunity to let my eyes wander around the room. The walls were dressed with paintings of all kinds, pictures of nature, as well as more abstract paintings. Fancy looking framed piece of paper and a photograph that was standing on the drawer beneath them caught my eye. The former seemed to be an art degree, and the latter a picture of a man and a woman when they were younger. They were standing somewhere that could be a university campus. Both had a genuine smile on their face. It seemed like their friendship went back quite a bit. Hey. Whoa! Did she sneak behind me? I thought I had a clear view of the kitchen entrance. I think I heard some rumbling coming from downstairs. It'd probably be good if you go check it out in case she hurt herself. She was likely referring to the woman who had invited me in. You did? She's been gone for a while now. Maybe something did happen to her. Perhaps I should go take a look. I felt her eyes follow me to the basement. Oh no. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna end this episode here because like I said, I don't know how long this is gonna be, so we'll finish it out next time. I'm sorry, I know it's short, but I want to save enough to have another decent sized episode. So don't worry, it's not going to be super long before you see the conclusion of this, but thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the next MAMJ. Let's go.